something has never been seen in the history of astronomy happening in our solar system right now. When I say this has the potential to radically alter how we understand physics, I am not exaggerating. Our spacecraft, 3I Atlas, has recently set off an incredibly strange and unprecedented event, and experts are rushing to come up with the traditional explanation. However, as a theoretical physicist, I am troubled by the following. The weight of the observable facts simply crushes every cliché explanation we've tried. This leaves us with a question that even seasoned experts find deeply unsettling. As it sped across our solar system, what precisely did 3I Atlas activate? In particular, why is this phenomenon becoming more prominent as we near October 29th, the date of perihelion, when this mysterious guest will be closest to the Sun? Just 2 weeks before the crucial perihelion transit on October 15th, I will take you back in time. With its focus on this mysterious visitor and its final approach, the Hubble Space Telescope caught an object that defies our present knowledge of electromagnetic physics. An edifice. Although that would be truly remarkable, it would not be in space, not embedded in space-time itself, but we could get a handle on it using Einstein's equations. No. A considerably stranger phenomenon was the ripple that Hubble detected. Similar to waves on a cosmic pond, the local electromagnetic field around 3I Atlas seemed to be oscillating in patterns that stretched outward in all directions, spanning millions of kilometers. It was Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics' Dr. Sarah Chen who initially detected the abnormality in the spectroscopic data. Just yesterday, she told me the details, and her voice betrayed a mix of delight and bewilderment. Michio, she explained, were picking up coherent electromagnetic pulses at precisely 1.42 gigahertz from 3I Atlas. The most basic frequency in the cosmos is that, the hydrogen line. However, this is the part that is confusing. Emissions from naturally occurring sources at this frequency should display chaotic fluctuations, statistical noise, and random phase variations. The results we're seeing demonstrate phase coherence over hours-long measurement windows. No, that isn't normal. My goodness, that is well-structured. Consider for a second the things she is saying. A frequency released when hydrogen atoms flip their electron spin states is represented by the hydrogen line at 1.42 gigahertz. The significance of this frequency would be immediately apparent to any technologically capable society, leading many to refer to it as the universal frequency. For decades, scientists at SETI have kept an eye on this frequency in the hopes of picking up manufactured signals from extraterrestrial civilizations. An extrasolar body is currently streaming coherently at this frequency as it travels through our solar system. If this were to happen as a result of random natural processes, Chen's statistical study indicates that the likelihood is less than 1 in 10 million. The electromagnetic anomaly is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this ever-expanding mystery. Even more disturbing events transpired on October 18th, a mere 3 days subsequent to the initial Hubble finding. Unidentified interference patterns appeared over several frequency bands at the same time, and amateur radio operators in the northern hemisphere started reporting the same thing, a series of interruptions that lasted precisely 47 seconds before going away entirely. There wasn't a random distribution of these occurrences around the world. The disturbances happened in a very specific geographical pattern that stretched across latitudes ranging from 35 to 55 degrees north. When this pattern is drawn on a map, it forms a curving line that points straight up to 3I Atlas's position in the sky at the same moment the disturbances happened. Detailed recordings were taken during one of these instances by Colorado's telecommunications engineer Marcus Rodriguez, who has been studying signal propagation for 30 years. The data files he supplied me made me nervous just looking at them. There was no chance of interference from atmospheric ionization, solar flares, or random static. It revealed order, mathematical order. By using a Fourier analysis to deconvolute the complicated signal into its individual frequencies, Rodriguez made an astounding discovery. Interstellar visitors' positions were found encoded in the interference pattern, which included repeating sequences of pulses separated by exact intervals: 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. This mathematical progression is known as the Fibonacci sequence, and it appears throughout nature. It moves beyond mere coincidence and into the category of truly unexplainable phenomena. As a theoretical physicist, it is my duty to rule out all more traditional explanations before considering any outlandish theories. Therefore, let's have a look at the options that would let us keep our cozy beliefs about the workings of the cosmos. Are these occurrences caused by the sun's high activity that coincides with 3I Atlas's approach? There have been no big coronal mass ejections or flare events within the relevant time range, therefore the sun has been pretty quiet this cycle. The Parker Solar Probe has shown that the solar wind is operating normally. Right away, this justification isn't working. Possibly what we're seeing is a peculiar kind of cometary outgassing. Not only do regular comets spew out dust, carbon dioxide, and water vapor, but they also emit electromagnetic radiation that is coherent with time and space and encodes mathematical sequences through controlled radio interference. No recognized process for how gases escaping or ices sublimating could cause such effects is currently understood. This interpretation is not supported by the physics, the interplanetary medium, and the 3I Atlas's magnetic field. What about their interactions? On the surface, this looks better. Indeed, processes such as synchrotron emission can produce electromagnetic radiation by means of charged particles moving via lines of magnetic fields. However, the most important issue is this. Rather than emitting narrow bands at discrete, meaningful frequencies, these natural processes generate radiation that spans many frequencies all at once. As for encoding mathematical progressions into patterns of radio interference on Earth, they most certainly don't. This justification also falls flat when tested. Therefore, we have entered really unpleasant ground. Every ordinary justification has fallen flat. There are intractable conflicts in any attempt to incorporate these observations into our current models of natural astrophysics. The problem has intensified in ways that exceed our current comprehension as of this morning, October 21st, with only 8 days to go till perihelion. The most advanced infrared observatory in the world, the James Webb Space Telescope, has picked up on something that has the astronomy community scrambling to get together and discuss. The pattern of heat radiation emissions from 3I Atlas goes against the laws of thermodynamics. I will clarify the meaning of this for you. At temperatures greater than zero, everything in the cosmos emits heat. A substance's radiative energy increases as its temperature rises. In addition, the exact mathematical rules established by Max Planck more than a century ago govern this connection. These are not estimates or recommendations. These are unshakable physical truths that have been confirmed by innumerable tests and observations. However, a directed thermal emission pattern seems to be formed as a result of 3I Atlas radiating more energy in certain directions than others. This calls for a focusing mechanism, such as a parabolic reflector or rotation with changing surface temperatures, according to standard physics. 3I Atlas, however, keeps its surface temperature and composition astonishingly consistent throughout its visible hemisphere according to spectroscopic studies. There ought to be no system that develops a bias for one route over another. And here is the part that makes it really scary, rather than just perplexing. Almost precisely toward Earth is the direction of greatest thermal emission, not in the direction of the sun, which would be reasonable if asymmetric outgassing were caused by solar heating. Along its trajectory vector, which could indicate a propulsion effect, it does not, keeping both objects precisely on course as they go through their own orbits directly toward Earth. Independently, Dr. James Nkomo of the European Southern Observatory performed the computations, and his result was direct and unequivocal. Either we're witnessing intentional beaming, or we're completely mistaken about thermal radiation physics, which would contradict 150 years of proven science. No other viable choice can be found that satisfies both the evidence and the laws of nature. Shouting out on purpose. Give that phrase some serious consideration. It suggests purpose. Meaning is conveyed. We are faced with the notion that 3I Atlas is deliberately directing energy toward a specified target, rather than just reacting to environmental conditions through natural physical processes. Our way. I can see the thoughts going through some of your minds, so I'm going to say it straight now. Your scientific work is really serious, Michio. I don't see why you're considering such outlandish explanations. Instead of jumping to conclusions, why not just acknowledge that we don't know what's going on and wait for additional information? Furthermore, your inquiry is very valid. One of the best things about science is the extreme caution with which we approach new information. What I did learn, though, from my years of theoretical physics study is this. When the cosmos throws us a curveball with observations that completely contradict our preconceptions, it's more unscientific to insist on the status quo than to admit we're seeing something completely new. Allow me to recount a parallel from history that serves to demonstrate this principle. Radio sources that emitted pulses precisely 1.337 seconds apart were found by Jocelyn Bell Burnell in 1967. Her study team half-jokingly called them LGM1, short for Little Green Men, because the signals were so consistent and incredibly accurate. Considering the possibility of synthetic origins made them feel ashamed. No professional researcher would touch it because it seemed too fantastical, too science fiction. Yet guess what? It was reasonable to first think of out-of-the-ordinary reasons. It was, simply said, too soon. We all heaved a sigh of relief when we finally found pulsars, which are neutron stars spinning and produce natural radio beams. Ultimately, nature had offered a more traditional explanation. The key distinction between that past instance and where we are now with 3IATLAS is this. When fully comprehended, pulse radii are consistent with the laws of current physics. Beams of radiation produced by neutron stars in motion that have extremely strong magnetic fields. Although it may be considered unusual, it does not infringe upon any essential principles. The data we have so far from 3I Atlas does not make sense. No, not roughly. Not after making some minor changes to our models. At the same time, it runs counter to a number of separate physical principles. And if we were dealing with technology instead of nature, we would expect to see that pattern, that signature of several infractions happening simultaneously. Just a few hours ago, things became even worse. The successor facility in Puerto Rico to the Arecibo Observatory contacted me with an urgent message. Throughout its approach toward perihelion, 3I Atlas has been under constant radar monitoring, and something that does not lend itself to simple explanation has been picked up. They were hoping that a simple reflection would allow them to estimate the object's distance and velocity with exceptional precision when they sent radar pulses in its direction, but something went wrong. Something out of the ordinary is going on with the return signal. It's not only bouncing back like radar waves off a smooth surface or a rough terrain. Modulation is seen in the returned signal. It seems like the radar echo is being modified before being sent back by someone or something. The head of the Radar Astronomy group, Dr. Lisa Park, put it thus way. Envision yourself yelling into a cave and then hearing the echo of your voice. Reflection like that is common. Just picture yourself yelling into that cavern and then hearing your echo come back, but with some extra phrases added to it. Not said words. This is exactly what is taking place. A complicated signal, including information we did not communicate, is returned to us in response to a basic pulse that we sent out. Information, a cosmic fire-written question mark, floats in the atmosphere, accompanied by that word. To what extent does it include information? If communication is the right interpretation, then what is 3I Atlas attempting to convey? Along with information theorists and cryptographers, the radar team is trying to decipher the modulation patterns, looking for mathematical structures or repetitive sequences that could indicate purposeful content. The very existence of modulation forces us to cross a boundary we have never previously explored, and that is before any decoding succeeds. The most unsettling discovery has now arrived. The electromagnetic disturbances that have been detected since the Mars flyby on October 3rd, when 3I Atlas came within 29 million kilometers of the red planet, do not behave as one would anticipate from cometary activity in the natural realm. There is no decrease in the intensity of these perturbations as 3I Atlas moves closer to perihelion on October 29th. They're getting bigger and stronger, and now they're spreading out in waves that are concentric and cover around 40 million kilometers in space. Preliminary results from Dr. Robert Tanaka's modeling of the propagation patterns at Tokyo University's Institute for Cosmic Ray Research are extremely disturbing. During our video conference earlier today, he clarified that these are not arbitrary electromagnetic oscillations. They behave like a carrier wave, which is how radio stations transmit data. What worries me, though, is this. Producing electromagnetic disturbances of this magnitude, spanning tens of millions of kilometers, would necessitate power sources not seen in individual spacecraft or probes, but in the range seen in entire planetary civilizations. And it's getting progressively more intense as we go closer to perihelion, like it's building up to a big finale, total cultures across the galaxy. Give that some time to settle in. The electromagnetic radiation emitted by a spacecraft or even a satellite is not what we are talking about here. We're thinking about ways to generate electricity that can cover the whole energy budget of developed nations. This forces us to confront an issue that goes beyond astronomy and concerns the fundamental nature of humanity's role in the universe. When 3I Atlas flew by Mars on October 3rd, what precisely did it set in motion? I mean it when I say that word. Set off. Do not manufacture, do not produce. Set off. The increasing amount of evidence suggests that these occurrences were not produced by 3I Atlas through its own mechanisms. It appears to have triggered something else instead, something that had previously been present, lying dormant and ready. The electromagnetic disturbances are propagating from a number of locations inside the inner solar system, not limited to 3I Atlas. The guest presence in our neighborhood seemed to activate a previously unseen network, as if a switch had been flipped. I am more terrified by this theory than by any other. It raises the possibility that our solar system has infrastructure that we have neither created nor detected. Past visitors left behind monitoring stations or communication relays that activate when certain circumstances are met. This technology could be millions of years old. Perhaps the key meant to ignite this old network is 3I Atlas, with its hollow construction, inconceivable deceleration, and now sunward course that was perfectly timed to pass Mars. Something really important needs to be clarified. There is no concrete evidence of a technological or artificial genesis from what I have described. In theory, all of the observations I've made could be the product of natural processes that we haven't fully uncovered. Amazing, new physics based on undiscovered rules that govern previously unexplained occurrences. We can be sure that the cosmos will continue to astound us with its ability to provide rational explanations for apparently inexplicable phenomena. What I do know, though, is that I have spent decades as a theoretical physicist researching the rules that govern reality. The probability calculation changes drastically when numerous unrelated anomalies converge at the same time, when traditional explanations don't work in different physical domains, and when the pattern of violations precisely matches what we would expect from design systems instead of natural processes. Moreover, the current trajectory of that computation calls into question all of our previously held beliefs on our cosmic isolation. The following 8 days are of the utmost importance because of this. At about 1.36 astronomical units, 3I Atlas will approach the Sun at its closest point on October 29th, a phenomenon known as perihelion. At that point in time, it will be traveling through our solar system at its greatest speed, experiencing the strongest solar heating and radiation it will ever encounter. Most importantly, from Earth's vantage point, it will be located on the Sun's far side. During this time, we will not be able to see it well. Looking into the blinding light of the Sun will render our ground-based telescopes inoperable. Our monitoring will be temporarily suspended for a few weeks. Give some thought to the consequences. When we are unable to see, 3I Atlas will have accomplished its goal, or at least be well on its way to doing it thanks to these more powerful electromagnetic disturbances. Avi Loeb has issued a warning that perihelion is the best time for this object to slow down and be gravitationally caught into our solar system by using the Sun's gravity well, an Oberth maneuver. Even a little force provided at maximum velocity can drastically alter the ultimate course. On the other hand, if the electromagnetic disturbances that have been seen point to a propulsion system getting ready to activate, then October 29th could be the day that everything changes. However, there is an additional possibility that genuinely concerns me. Could it be that the electromagnetic network that 3I Atlas seems to have activated wasn't intended for communication or propulsion? What if its original function is completely altered? Scanning, reconnaissance, comprehensive study of Earth, our technology, and our electromagnetic signature as a civilization could be represented by directional heat beaming toward Earth, organized radio interference patterns, and radar signal modulation. Furthermore, perihelion may not indicate 3I Atlas doing a maneuver if that is indeed the case. It might be a symbol of the thing that has been observing us finally making a decision based on its evaluation. We will be relieved of this growing tension and given the opportunity to rely on natural explanations if the data reveal that 3I Atlas breaks up like a regular comet when subjected to tremendous thermal stress. Alternately, it may reveal something new, something that makes us realize we aren't alone, that we've always been a part of a larger solar system that has mysteries hidden inside it from before time immemorial.